Yay! What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I'm Alexandra Harbushka, founder of Life With Herpes. I'm excited to be here with you today, spending the afternoon with you, talking about herpes. If you don't know me and you're just joining in and you're like, what have I stumbled upon? My name's Alexandra and I have HSV1 and HSV2, aka I have oral herpes and I have genital herpes. Yep, so I have had herpes for 19 years. I was diagnosed with oral HSV1 in 2003, and then I was diagnosed with genital HSV2 in 2011. So I've been living with this for a long time. Between both types, oral and genital, I will say that the genital was much more difficult to receive the diagnosis. That was something I was like just annoyed at the way I got it, more so than like, oh, I have oral herpes. So it never really impacted my life. Hi, what can we ask here? You can ask me anything you want to know about herpes. Anything you need to know, anything from outbreak prevention, anything from being diagnosed with herpes, what is herpes, what's the difference between oral and genital herpes, products that you can use to help speed up the recovery or help with wound healing or help with pain, things you can do to prevent outbreaks, diet, all sorts of things. So yeah, there's a lot that we can talk about. So what's really interesting is there's a lot of people, and I love the hearts, guys. Thank you. It was so cute. My son today at swim lesson, there's a swim instructor he loves. Her name's Heidi. And so she walked by and he's like, Heidi, I love you. It was so cute to see a 2-year-old do that. Anyways, yeah, so statistics about herpes. Herpes is far more common than we think. HSV1, 2 out of 3 people are living with HSV1. That's commonly known as oral herpes, but that can be both oral and or genital. So yeah, 2 out of 3 people are living with that. So if you think about any of your friends, any of your family, if you do that, you can just kind of go, wow, okay, there's a lot of people living with it. And then HSV2, which is most commonly known as genital herpes, is 1 out of 6 people have it. So that roughly goes down back to about 13% of the population is living with HSV2, and about 67% are living with HSV1. If I'm referring to a part, I would be honest. What do you mean? I don't understand that question. If I'm referring to a part. Yeah, feel free, you guys, to ask your questions here about herpes. If you're just joining and you're like, what am I stumbling upon? There's a lot of people living with herpes. There's a stigma that is absolutely crushing and should not be there because the majority of the people have herpes, and it's very sad that there's people that are just being ridiculed. With that being said, there's a lot that goes into disclosing to a partner, the fear that happens when we do disclose, things like that. Oh, that's a good question. What were my first symptoms? What were my first symptoms? For oral HSV1, I can't exactly remember if I had the bumps first or flu-like symptoms, but I suddenly was sick and basically had like the flu-like symptoms and had to go to the emergency room because my fever was so high and I was so dehydrated. I also had sores everywhere, like couldn't open my mouth. I was in so much pain. For genital herpes, my symptoms were, when like something's not right and you're like, oh, I feel something is not right. Something's not right here. It was like swollen. Down there I was swollen. I just was like, oh, it hurts. Something doesn't feel right. And then the next day I woke up with like some blisters and was like, oh, that's what's happening. Then of course the swollen lymph nodes, flu-like symptoms. I was not as sick with HSV2 as I was with HSV1. But I was in a ton of pain. Like it was extremely painful to sit down. Do I take the antiviral daily? I do not at this point. I did at other times of my life. When I was dating, I took it daily. I took it daily for 3 years. I also took it when I was pregnant and about to deliver my son. I took it for those like 5 weeks. And then I just recently, this last fall, took it. I was getting tons of outbreaks, so I took it then as well. How did you get them, and did the person know they had it? So HSV1, I was on a date. I was 20, and the guy that took me on a date kissed me with a cold sore. That was a big deal. Like, it sounds like it, honestly, I never want to play victim. That's absolutely not right. Never ever want to take victim. I want to take responsibility for my actions. But at 20, I had probably only kissed like 3 people in my life, maybe like 5. And so that kiss was like a big deal to me. Like, I hadn't kissed that many people in my life at that point. Like, it was a big deal. And so like kissing was still a really big deal. And so I went on a date and the guy kissed me. We weren't even at that point in the relationship. So I was like mad that he kissed me, because I was like, oh no, he kissed me. Like, he likes me. And then of course, like 2 days later, 3 days later, boom, I woke up in bed, bad. And then the second time with HSV2, so the first one, did the guy know he had it? Yeah, he had a cold sore. Second one, I dated a guy. He didn't know he had it. And so, you know, typical story, you're dating someone, you have sex, that's a normal part of a relationship. And I got herpes. So, that was fun. I do have that, but there is marks on mine. What could it be? I don't know what you mean. There's marks on yours, like they leave scars. When you say marks, like I don't understand what you say about the marks. I'm 15 and I got it from my ex, and I trusted him and lost my virginity to him and never knew he had it. Yeah, I totally understand what you're going through, and I understand that feel of like betrayal. I trusted the person I dated too. Like, obviously we trust the people we date, whether they've earned our trust or not. We trust them, especially like you said, 15. That's really, you're young, and we at that point are still in a bubble, and we trust people. He may have not known, and I wouldn't go to the betrayal. I would go to education. So like, neither you or your boyfriend probably knew about getting tested for herpes. Yes, you knew, talk about getting tested for HSV or for STDs or STIs, but probably didn't know about getting tested for herpes. And so that's something you can't beat yourself up, because that wasn't taught to you. So if you don't know, you don't know. So I'd recommend just in the future, obviously having that conversation, even though that you now have herpes, doesn't mean that you can't require that of any new partner. Yeah. I'm really sorry you're going through that. I know that's really hard, and don't feel like you're alone. Definitely keep watching my videos. I give a ton of information. So definitely subscribe or follow or whatever to Life with Herpes. And I have a ton of free information on my website. We also have a community. It is an online community. It's a subscription community. And we do live calls within the group. So they're private, they're secure, it's just the group. And that would also be really helpful, especially if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling like there's no one else that has this and you want more education and information. So I recommend that. Is it possible to have lingering scars from your first outbreak? Yes. So that's a good question. Our skin, I'm not a dermatologist by any means, but our skin, like you can just feel like the skin on my arms are different from the skin on my lips, different from my genital skin, different from the skin on my butt, different from the skin on my inner thighs. So if the herpes virus goes outside of like this tissue or the genital tissue and goes to like our regular skin tissue, that can pigment. It doesn't leave a permanent scar. It will go away. It may take time, but it just means that it's the pigmentation. So it will go away. Can we still do it? I have like a hair, I can't find it. Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can do it. There's millions of people living with herpes and they do it every single day. So yes, you can still do it. It doesn't really mean anything different other than you and your partner need to be in agreement about herpes, about the fact that your partner could potentially contract it. But like nothing's different about sex, right? It's pretty normal. I have a hydrocele. I have no idea what that is. Touches the toilet water. I have no idea what that means. You have to fill me in, Rick. Can you have a normal relationship when you have it? Absolutely. As far as disclosures and rejection does happen, but we have to remember that like rejection happens regardless of having herpes or not having herpes. So we think that we get rejected because we have herpes. It just speeds it up. It doesn't mean that we're actually being rejected. So because of having herpes, it just means that the person so rejection happens for 3 reasons. Number 1, the person is just immature about when it comes to sexual health or just anything like that. What I mean is not that like you're 15 or 19 or 20. I mean, you could be 50 years old and still be immature about it. Just like stupid about it. Like, oh, it's so gross. Or like, oh, you have your period? That's gross. Or like whatever. Like, oh, you've had past partners? Oh, like stuff like that. 2, the person is married to the idea about STDs and they are not willing to understand the other side. I like to use the example of religion or politics, right? You believe one thing and you are not going to be convinced of the other, right? It's just period, the end. Or 3, and this is the hard one, the person is not into you. That is the hard one to hear, but if the person's not into you, he or she's not going to take that risk. And I feel like that's better to know up front than 3 months, 6 months into it. I'd rather have the hurt of the rejection than like sleep with them 3 times and then get rejected, you know? If I don't have herpes and date someone with it, should I be honest about not wanting to date them? Totally. I would ask yourself, are you not wanting to date them because you don't want to get herpes? Are you not wanting to date them because you don't like them? Are you not wanting to date them because you don't understand herpes? Statistically, it's going to be a lot harder to find somebody without herpes than it is with. So just keep that in mind. If that's something that's really, really important to you, then you're going to want to make sure that that person is tested prior to dating them. Not like, oh, well, they say they don't have it. And like, no, you're going to have them go get tested and get a blood test and say, do you have HSV1 or HSV2? We need to remember that oral herpes can be transmitted genitally via things we do with our mouth, which would be kissing in all directions. I'm sorry for you. Don't feel sorry for me. It's nothing I'm not sorry about. Are you still dealing with it? It's something I'll have for the rest of my life. Do I deal with it? Do I get outbreaks? Yeah, of course I do. It's not the end of the world. It just is an alarm to me to remind myself that like, okay, I need to calm down with, I'm either, eating too many bad foods, I'm out late, I'm drinking too much, I'm not taking care of my body, I'm not resting. There are times that is annoying, like if, for example, if you're on vacation, like, yeah, you want to have a couple of margaritas. Maybe you have a margarita at lunch and margarita at dinner and some more things, whatever. So like, yeah, that's frustrating, but the real SD dudes, interesting. Yes, it's a lifelong thing and something you have the right to choose. Yeah, you absolutely have the right to choose if you want to date someone or not. But get crystal clear on what it is you don't want. Is it that you don't want to commit to this person? You think that if you break up, then you'll get rejected in the future? Just ask yourself a lot of these questions. Thanks for being an advocate. You are so important. Thank you. I appreciate that. White lie or be honest about it being about herpes. I would say always be honest. White lies are never great. Just be honest. The truth always comes out. I used to work in the mortgage industry. When you see people's finances, payments, money withdrawals, and the truth always comes out. So yeah, you can't hide it. I feel like it would come out eventually. It's not the marks, but looks more like pinkish, sometimes feels scratchy. I don't know about something that would be pinkish or scratchy. I would say that the Outbreak is definitely a blister or is a paper cut. A blister that is fluid filled, not pus filled, very different. That's typically what herpes looks like. Playing's totally fine. I don't know what you mean by playing, but like, you mean having sex? Like, sex doesn't necessarily cause it. I mean, friction can cause it if it's not well lubed. What do you do for outbreaks in lower area? So same thing as the oral area. There's a couple of things you can do to speed up the recovery. Number one would be taking the antiviral if that's something that you want to do. You can also take lysine. Lysine is an essential amino acid. It's a protein that helps block the replication of the herpes virus. That's something I take daily. You can also use some things that are topical. I use we have the Secret Society wellness product. So this is personally my favorite. I just got over an outbreak, so I've been using this daily on my outbreak. It has tea tree oil in it. It has chamomile oil in it. It has lemon oil, other citrus oils. It's really, really powerful for wound healing, for like inflammation and like antiseptic. So this is what I personally use. You guys love this rescue balm. This is a balm you can apply directly to your outbreak. It has eucalyptus, it has peppermint, it has beeswax. Let's see, what else does it have? It has mango butter, cocoa butter, shea butter, and lemon balm oil in it. Lemon oil in it. So lots of great stuff to help to help. It really is helpful. This can you apply. So I have it all linked for you here in the bio. You can check it out. There's a lot of other products that are great too. Thanks for being straight. You're welcome. You've had them for about a year. I understand. It is frustrating when you first get it, but there are ways to work through it. All right, my friends, do you guys have any more questions? If not, I'm going to actually start making some more TikToks. So, any more questions, you guys? I really appreciate all of you. Thanks for being you. You guys are awesome. And I will see you soon in the next video. I just really appreciate you being here and joining me. I have 2 more questions. The birth one, like, can you give birth? You absolutely can give birth. The virus is skin to skin, so it's not like in your body or in your blood or things like that. So it's not in utero. It doesn't affect the baby while it's in utero. The concern would be birthing the baby and making sure that you don't have an outbreak during that time. I'd recommend getting on the same page as your doctor and understand what you and your doctor want to do. If I haven't had an outbreak since I got it 5 years ago, would still come positive on a blood test? Absolutely. So once you have the virus, you would create antibodies, which means you would still test positive for it. So off topic, where'd you get your shirt from? Thank you for asking. I love it. It has these like little, like kind of see-through-y. Also, I have the Kim Kardashian bra on. I love it. Skims, I think they are. Yeah. This is, R plus A. It's fun. I'll give you a fashion show. I love that you asked that. That's like really exciting to me. Have linen pants and like a white shirt, and I have some little pink shoes. Okay. And my gold hoops, because gold's in right now. Love my haircut. Thank you. This is so flattering. So flattering not to talk about herpes when we can talk about cute stuff. Oh, you haven't had an outbreak in 5 years. So yeah, you would still test positive. Sorry, your phone froze. You would still test positive even though you haven't had an outbreak. It's because your body has antibodies, and as long you're not going to rid yourself of the virus, so you will still have the antibodies. yeah, you would still test positive, which means you can still transmit it. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Let's see what I'm wearing next in my next video tomorrow. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you. Bye.